All right. Welcome to technically session three, is what I titled the live stream, but depending on what happens, I think it's going to be more of a session 2.5 of Deep, Deep Below. Uh, Intriguing game, building a town within the depths of the underworld in the horrifying world that is Kavagathail. And we are going to open with Raul Zardi. And to clarify, Jerk, were you trying to call on Raul to meet with you, or were you going to meet with him, or what? Jerk, hello. Am I the?
I am
Is I,
here to
which is
report
the
that the
issue?
the short man was, but no longer is having mic difficulties. He is back with us
Okay,
in the
there we
land
go.
of the tall people.
I was saying that the Calpha man wanted to speak, so he shall follow the joke along.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Raul definitely wanted to speak. I mean, it definitely seemed, I think, just to confirm with you, that Jerk was kind of giving him a bit of a side eye with that last thing that happened there of people realizing, essentially not realizing, I guess, that Raul has definitely not been given this blessing by Valex. I imagine Jerk might have. Did he indicate to Raul at any point that he was aware of that, or was he more so kind of focused on just giving him the side glance in general, so to speak?
The extreme side eye,
Ah,
bombastic
okay, all
side
right.
eye.
So there's definitely something going on, but I think my character, not really knowing exactly what it is, certainly has a lot of interest in finding that out in this conversation with the Ferrum man.
Yes.
He's definitely offered at this point to take the both of them over to a side place inside one of the empty free tents where people were previously gathering to kind of use this as a semi de facto meeting place, I think would be his way of putting it, something along those lines. Would Jerk be willing to go along with that?
Extremely sus. Lead the way.
And it's just you two?
Amazing, just us. Doesn't have any guards or anything. Although to be fair, I imagine Jerk has certain suspicions about Raul that might lead him to be a bit cautious here, considering
Yeah.
Definitely not. Certainly.
no concerns whatsoever. Yeah, I mean, this guy was a guy pretending to be an old guy. He can't be that dangerous. I mean, he played a pretty
Certainly.
convincing old guy,
Certainly
apparently.
not. Let me just double check. I did
Oh, beautiful,
currently hammer.
beautiful. Yep, the drip in all its glory.
I gotta check. I think I have a hammer with me at all times.
Oh, yep, definitely. Useful tool. Please don't use it on me. I have a very refined cranium, as a matter of fact.
Yep, I have a warhammer with me,
Oh, beautiful.
and
Hopefully not going to be embedded within my face in a couple of minutes.
ah, you've done nothing to make that happen. No.
Right, right. Exactly. I'm an innocent man.
Ah, we all love that.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so we're getting into character here pretty quick, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Awesome. Okay, so in that case, Mr. DeHool, how do you want to start us off? I'm guessing as we're entering the tent?
I guess so. You can start us off on it however you feel like, because you were leading the way.
Oh, I guess I am, yeah. Well, if that's all right, I suppose I'll get started. As Raul, now young Raul, young and decently good looking, according to some people, Raul, the purple man is leading Jerk to this tent with a bit of a smile on his face. There's a twitch to it, slight, but Jerk's a perceptive guy, right? He would probably be able to notice that there's something off about it. There's something twigging with his mood. He's not fully into things as he might like to seem. Now, he's enjoyed the party, supposedly, and he's had some conversations. You saw him sitting down earlier with the ogre man and that Elsamite lady, but he doesn't seem to be fully in line with the vibes. There's something on his mind. As he enters this tent and opens the door for you, he gives a look to Jerk where there's just that twitch in his eye. There is something he's been waiting to say, and he cannot seem to will himself to say it until this becomes a private conversation.
No joke. The fucking believer in death just walks forward, not concerned in the slightest, as he's just, you could say facing whatever it could be. As he has his back turned for a few moments as he enters and turns around, trying to face the purple man.
Raoul would, I suppose there'd be a table in here. So he would circle around that table, kind of trailing his long, almost delicate fingers on it. Before he kind of doesn't really sit down so much as he leans over it, placing both hands on the table to support himself as he looks at Jerk appraisingly, kind of tilting his head to the side, maybe the left a little bit. I don't suppose, in your position, kind of holds up his hand placatingly for a moment before returning it to the table, you have any questions of me or my reasons for appearing, well, differently these last few days. I wanted to check in with you about that.
Before or after you showed your face to someone else?
I gathered from the impression you had of me that you already knew. I don't think I'm wrong in that assumption.
There's a nonchalant shrug. As he seems to be looking at where your wounds would be.
You can certainly see, Jerk can see, that Raoul's arm is, just to check in with Tahul, God, would you say that his arm is not fully healed, but certainly in a more workable state? Like the bone's been set back in, he can use it, it's just really messed up, right?
What's your health gauge at?
Well, I'm pretty sure it's still below 5, if I'm not mistaken. It's somewhere in the quick. Let me
Is
double
this a
check.
night? Is this a?
I believe the party, this is just after the party, so it'd still be night,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. So haven't healed again yet. So yeah, I mean, so what is the number specifically?
Let me double check. Because this guy's fueled off hatred, but he's still probably in a lot of pain, so that's probably affecting his mentality a bit here. I was assuming he was somewhere around 4 health gauge, but looking at it, yeah, I got him listed down as 5 health gauge, so that's about right. He's
Yeah.
in the quick, like he's very hurt. He's tired almost,
Yeah.
but he's still kind of his wits. It's covered by his berserker. Like he's not getting any penalties in a literal sense, but I imagine that it's kind of fueled by this anger and rage that makes.
Also,
him a bit more passionate.
your arm is broken. So that is going to take. Or am I wrong? I thought it was broken.
Well, I think it was originally broken very severely, so I think it's fair to say that's in a cast then, right?
Yeah, and that's going to take longer than your health gauge to heal.
That makes a lot of sense to me. So I suppose it would just be one hand on the table then, and the one he raised to placate Jerk and a gesture at least would definitely be that one hand. So as he does that, he leans back a bit before going back on the table. But other than that, I don't think I need to change anything. Just yeah, he's got that arm in a cast. He's got some scrapes and bruises that have started to heal somewhat. But Jerk,
you're in enough pain that it should be hindering you somewhat significantly. But because you're just such a hateful bastard, you are like
very petty, yeah,
spiting the pain.
So I imagine that's kind of that twitch in his eye, right? That's that anger there. The way his body kind of jerks around a little bit here and there when he decides to actually move. It's clear that Raoul's already has not just a lot on his mind, but a lot he's trying to keep off his mind at the moment. As he looks at Jerk with a raised eyebrow, giving him a moment to examine his own figure, as there's a certain amount of egotism he has to that. He almost enjoys the idea of being the center of Jerk's attention for a moment.
He just examines it for a moment, seemingly considering a few things. His eyes just seems to slowly weasel themselves upwards towards your face. So, what's on the agenda?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that for me? Out of character.
You just asked what's on the agenda.
He thinks for a long moment. It's an interesting question. It's something he enjoys answering, but he wants to answer it right. Nodding slowly, he seems to have come up with something, maybe a bit more focused than would normally be required. He kind of grits his teeth a little bit for just a second, dealing with a certain throbbing pain in his arm. You know, the way I'm looking at it, there's an empty council seat. And as you know, there's a lot of interest in that council seat being filled by someone who supports our views. You
And
saw who I
before
offered you earlier. And
continue, I wish that she'd emptied.
right. My perspective on this, my agenda, you could say, is finding someone that fits both of our interests as well as the Lady Legion. I think you understand better than most that her and I have a business arrangement, political if you want to call it that. I'd like you to be involved. You seem to be more aware than the others of what's really going on here, and I'd like to cut you in rather than fight you over it.
And I would like a confession out of you. What did you do?
Oh, I'm sorry, your voice is a little quiet. I'm having some trouble hearing you.
Sorry, this would be a bit better, isn't it?
This is much better. Yes, thank you. Could you
Alright,
repeat what your character was saying?
of course. And
thanks, bro.
I want a confession out of you.
Rao leans back at this as he considers that for a long moment.
Death is a very simple thing. It comes, it goes, it gives and it takes. It's a cycle. No one can fight it. But you, seemingly escaping it, more wary than where, I find that a bit suspicious, especially with the Kalfar assistance afterwards.
All right, give me just a moment here. There we go. Okay, so he considers that for a long second. I'm not sure if I see it the way you do. Not really, in its symbolic sense, but following what you're saying and going by that definition of the way to look at it, I would say definitively that if I was the man that removed that man, I wouldn't be so inclined to take credit for it as I would be if I hadn't been the one to do it. He's dead, however, and his seat remains unfilled. Is that the answer you were looking for?
No. And I'm going to prove it one way or another.
He shrugs. I hope that's not a threat, but either way, I don't think that would be a good idea for you.
No one meddles in death without coming unscathed. Especially.
He holds up his broken arm in response to that. Either way,
he toggles to that. Oh, you think I'll mean it that way? Cute. It seems to touch his. Seems to be like a beard is coming up as he's touching a bit the little spikes of hair on his face. It seems to be thought for something else. I guess this should be a conversation for another day as well. So,
I wouldn't be opposed to your preaching, but I don't imagine you would think it's a requirement for us to work together.
He squints his eyes. I work for the WHO.
No, so it is a requirement. My mistake. I suppose I can tolerate listening to that drivel long enough for us to find some agreement.
You said I preach to you. I say the truth of the world. Believe it if you will, if you not. What happens to you in this place is not my concern.
Well, personally, Jerk, I intend to be honest with you. You're of the 77 fools, I think. Personally, there's a lot of truths out there, and none of them seem to agree with each other. I just try to work with as many as I can. It's my job.
Do you die?
Well, I haven't died yet, so that remains
You
in
will.
question, I think.
You will perish. I will die. You will come back. Then die again. You will forget. You will learn. you will forget. You might learn again. That is something that you cannot deny.
Or I become a ghost and I haunt that temple that took our supposed friend the
Those.
other day.
Ah, he smiles a bit at that. Those are just some that have lost their path. Joust and the others deal with them usually, but since I'm here, might as well clean up properly to whose belly.
Well, I'd certainly appreciate if you do that. It'd be less of a mess for the rest of us to deal with. If you ever got around to it, really do see to it that there's not much of that Elsamite influence. I won't lie to you again. I somewhat appreciate the idea that a power base has been inflicted with some danger. It makes them complacent, more willing to listen to me. It's been convenient, actually.
Speaking of convenience, why did you speak with that child?
Which one? I speak to many people younger than me, although I suppose that has grown narrower recently as I've de-aged thanks to the value of Felix's help.
The Pharaoh.
Yes, him. Speaking of fools, I'm afraid I hope to not embarrass you, but he's not really the one I'm considering anymore for that council seat. I wanted it to be someone incompetent, but I've changed my mind. He's not worth your time. If you're going to put a Pharom on there, make sure it's not him.
No. I just find it strange a Galfa who speaks such as yours to willingly give someone up to the faith.
Exactly. As far as I'm concerned, faiths hold a purpose. They don't hold a rule. If they did, then there'd only be one of them. Clearly, if there are any rules, they're difficult for you people to enforce. I don't seek to lecture you on how to do it within your own Tuhulian space, but clearly there's improvements to be made. I'd like to help you with that if you'd let me.
He looks at it with the most, like, accepting face that you could give at the current moment.
He gives him a shit-eating grin, like he's figuring Jerk doesn't exactly have a choice here. He's just giving him the better of one option.
I like looking at it for a moment again. And what exactly are you getting at?
Well, I'd like to sponsor you. I happen to be a very wealthy and privileged man, and given you can see my complexion, you understand that I'm not one of your own people. It would serve you well to have an ally on the council that doesn't just get stereotyped into Farum interests. More importantly, I'm more than willing to honor Tuhul's requirements. Some of the council doesn't agree with me, but I personally think Tuhul is one of the better divinities to be given power in a political sense. My problem at the moment is not knowing where you stand. I'd frankly prefer us be enemies than me not knowing whether or not you are mine.
He's just thinking for a long second. Just sits there silently for a bit more. Seemingly, see no movement from him. You ask my allegiance. I'm curious. Which was it? Was it the Dwarf ones? That house that made you come here?
The house, right. Well, let me put this another way for you, because I feel that I have grossly misrepresented myself. I do not hold an enormous amount, perhaps no love for my house in the sense that you would define. I have loyalty in the sense of standards, propriety, and expectation. My house demands results. I have a certain amount of respect for that attitude. But if it came down to it, at the end of the day, most people in the House of Jalf would betray their so-called family and their so-called house for an opportunity of what we Calfars like to call real success. So the best answer I can give you is, I am not so unlike those Calfars. In my mind, I seek success, and in my mind, I see greater heights than what the house has provided me. Nonetheless, we are all bound within the house by some loyalty, and that does come from its power. The house is greater than I am, and thus I am loyal to the house. That is a more honest answer than you'll get out of most Calfars, I think.
You have a very nice talent of just spinning 3 sentences into 3 paragraphs. You should become an author.
Some people have said that, yes, although I tend to like to pay people to write my books for me.
I never said write them yourself.
He nods somewhat approvingly at that, thinking back on a certain woman he currently has doing that. He's eager to read it, but he gets distracted only for a moment as he looks back. You have a good point, but we're missing the subject here. Oh, one moment, by the way.
Who knocks on the door? Time to die.
Well, that was interesting. Okay, sorry. Could you repeat the last thing your character said?
He said that you should not. No, he never said that you should write your books.
He shrugs again, thinking of that one lady he kind of hired. And then he shrugs after saying the last thing he said. Something I always try to remember when dealing with you faithful types is that you're a lot more principled than the people I'm used to working with. It's comforting in a way to know that I can rely on you to do certain things you believe in. Isn't that right?
He nods for a moment. I'll put it in simple terms for you. I believe in 3 things: death, value of a word, and honor. Time is one of these, and I don't care where you die, but the wounds will get to you.
Wonderful. Well, in that case, if you're so confident I'll get my due purpose after I'm dead, I don't really need to worry about that when I'm alive now, do I?
I didn't mean it that way, but accept it however you will.
He
So,
shrugs. That's the interpretability that comes of being not tied to a temple. I do give lip service, though. I suppose I should be adding Tuhul to the list sooner than later. Do you have any requests of me or any other questions? Something I can answer, preferably.
yes, why the act? Deceit.
That's
is a
an
very
interesting one, I
petty
think.
thing.
Well, all Calfars are petty, my friend, but I like to think that I take a more hilltop view on the thing. It really is some more defensive mechanism. People don't bother fighting it, old man. One, it's not impressive. Two, I think you'll understand this. There just isn't so much of a point in it, if he's going to die anyway, soon. It was less of a threat politically for those knowing they'd invest a large portion of their lives here to know that I'd be the first one to go. That illusion has passed, one way or another. They all know now that I am either here to stay or here to, as you might argue, die. That's a concern of mine, although I have to say I'm not that concerned compared to other things. Realistically, the act itself was for that reason, to lull all others into a state of security and to put myself in a position where I didn't have to worry about them scheming against me so much.
And you
I
guys
still
are,
do that.
as you say, you guys are beginning to hear exceptionally good flute outside.
He shrugs. As you can tell, the community is multi-talented. I rather like the people here, but I don't like them so much that I think that I could trust them with my life. I came here alone, and I did so with the confidence of an old man. I no longer have that part.
I see. Well, if you really want to know what I do, other than my faith, that you can so-called understand or rally with, is I work. I'm a blacksmith. He raises his shoulder a bit to reach behind and grab his wall hammer and holds it out. I craft, I build, I sustain. This is the thing I build my wealth upon. The whose gift to the world is very embodiment. I got really good at it. And you, I'm not sure how you made your money, but I doubt it earnestly. If you want to work with me, I don't wish to hear one lie. Directly, at least.
Directly, I think, is the word we'll have to use. Most of my profession involves scamming people in a political sense, really. That's why I'm here, you know. Now, this deal would involve me not scamming you, so I think that's in your interest, absolutely.
I personally do see that.
Well, there's some advice for you. Simply encourage me, quite liberally, to only go after the people you think deserve it to begin with. It's a win-win for the both of us, and by the time I do something stupid and get myself killed, you have the self-satisfaction of talking down to me in my ghostly form or whatever it is, and I would have helped you by that point. Agreeable, no?
There's no need to be petty to the dead. They must pass on.
Well, I'm sure Dead Me will appreciate that. Until that point, though, we have to tolerate each other, if not like each other, and I'm very inclined to do that with you. See, Jerk, I see nothing but good things for this community with you in it. There's absolutely no reason, logically, I have to oppose you. You're not even that ambitious, no offense. I mean, not by my Calfar standards, anyway. You are quite possibly the least dangerous person to my position I can think of, and that's not because you're incapable, it's disinterest, really. I like that sort of disinterest. I want to cultivate it. I want more people to think like you. If you could help me do that, you'd make my job a lot easier.
Jerry just looks with a look of like, motherfucker just called me a tool? Just like raising an eyebrow. Weird way to call someone an ally.
I'd rather have an intelligent man who wants to do nothing to me than an idiot one who thinks he wants to do nothing to me. The man I was going to put on the council would have been my puppet, sure, but in your case, I don't need you to be. I can simply trust your faith and trust your... Well, if word doesn't work so much, I think that I can trust your thinking. It's logical to work with me because your alternatives are an insane Ugo Valexian, a slightly less insane miner who competes with you, and I don't really need to go over the Legionite and the rest. I even have a moderate amount of control over half of them at this point. I could leverage that to you. And with your help, I feel I'll have a much better job security, and you are the one that influenced the craftsmen. I have a great many people that'll be wanting some finer deals and goods and awareness of your trade. I think we can work a great many things out in favor for both of us. Along with a very loud amount of keyboard typing. This was out of character,
my
by the
bad.
way, but
Sorry.
my ears are bleeding.
It's the flute. It's just magical. It's so good.
Oh, yeah, 100%. It's the beautiful flute music.
I'll unmute myself.
Nah, you're good, brother.
My bad.
No worries. So yeah, what's Jerk's response to all of that from this very self-confident, smug Calfar man who seems to be thinking that he's making the best deal offer in the world to you?
You're just looking at that. You just stare so like you like think like his probably his brain is made out of fucking rock at this point. Just like looking at you. Just like keeps looking at you like just doesn't say anything.
Take as long as you like. I know it's a hard thing to believe, but I genuinely mean this.
Inside check.
Absolutely. I'm happy to roll
Inside
that.
check
Do
on
we
this
have a
fool.
roll chat somewhere we can hop into?
Good question. I think not.
Well, I guess honor rolling if you want.
Yeah.
Oh, do we?
Sure. Let me look up Google Dice Roller here. All right. The overloads at Google say I rolled a
Oh, do we have a dice roller
8 and a...
Yeah, we're gonna go honor for now.
Sure. My 8 re-rolled into a 5, so I have a very humble 17 for my roll. And you were trying to check if my character is lying to you, right?
Yeah. I rolled
All
an
right.
8, 7, and a 1 with a bonus of I think it was 10.
Well, that's fantastic. I would say that since he's actually being honest, believe it or not, I would probably just use diplomacy here, which is the same number as guile, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Perfect. So going by that and his presence, I mean, obviously this is a guy that is not just self-confident, but decently presenceful. He's not the most charismatic Kalfar man you've met, but he's certainly one of the more powerful ones, and that comes with a lot of confidence. With the total roll, how'd you do against a 17 plus 6? You're obviously not affected by his A grade. You are quite possibly
I
the most
am
straight
the
fair man he's
straightest
ever met in
tool.
his life. So
I got a 26.
26, you might actually have him beat here. Because, yeah, a 17 plus 6 is only 23. And then I got another plus 2 to that. So I have a 25. So you're able to tell that despite the fact he's being honest, this is not a man who would just honor his word. If it's made convenient to him to betray you, you know your Kalfars decently well enough. You've been in the underground all your life. You know this slimy fucker would easily justify to himself screwing you over if he had a reason to. He just simply has none and doesn't expect to have any. And in many ways, you get the impression, based on what he said earlier, that he actually expects you to be dead well before you become a problem for him, and probably just doesn't figure he's going to be the cause of that. Either way, he's very genuine in his efforts to want to work with Jerk, but clearly thinks that he's getting the better end of this deal here. That's just the vibe you're getting. Although you get the impression this man tells himself that even when he's getting screwed over himself. So he might be a bit delusional rather than dishonest.
Hmm. So what are the terms of the deal again?
Long story short, that he helps out interests and does whatever favors you want for you, as long as you leverage the support and confidence of the crowd you have influence to, essentially just tolerating whatever he does. He's basically saying, I'll rub your back if you rub mine, and that we be allies on the council going forward, although he laid the heavy implication that also means he'll be doing his best to keep the other counselors off your back, to essentially mean they don't oppose your voice, and has heavily implied that some of them want to do so based on the information he has.
Hmm. He looks at that and smiles. Well, if you want us then to shake on it. That's fine. Like he's just fucking like rock brain might have melted at that point and started thinking. Then you would have to answer one question honestly to me. You can do that.
Well, that's a tall order, but I'll do my best.
What happened to him?
Oh, you mean the Batman, right?
The man that is dead.
Oh, well. Bats have this problem of not really being able to see anything that's right in front of them unless they screech at it, don't you think? He didn't make any noise when he died, I can tell you that. He was gurgling. So he died blind. He didn't actually see what killed him. You know that. Not what did him in at the very end. The room was being swarmed by these creatures, you understand. It was a messy business. Thankfully, due to his heroism, I was able to escape, but I can tell you this. I could have saved his life. I chose not to risk it. I saved myself instead. In a way, I did this by forcing what happened. Is that a clear enough answer for you?
Insight check.
Oh, absolutely.
The roll of the
All right, let me
century.
roll
This will
again.
determine a lot of things.
Oh, yes,
I
sir.
mean, or you could just think about
Believe
it.
it.
Oh, damn. I
Oh,
wish this
yeah,
was an actual roll chat so you guys would believe me, but I did just roll another 8. Not doubles, I will say. Got an 8, 3,
I
and a
believe you.
7.
I believe you.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
I
So
got
that's
a 4 and a
18, so just
5.
one higher than my last roll.
I got a 19.
All right, so I'm afraid to say that my luck has pushed me past it on the second one. So I'll describe what you might notice. Although you get the impression there's more to be known here because, well, you beat him the first time. So you know this man is a very capable liar if he wants to be. While he seems to be telling the truth, and there seems to be something he's not saying, he clearly takes an immense amount of twisted pride in the idea that he outlasted the Elsamite. You know for their history that Kalfars are extremely petty, but you get the idea this House of Jalf this man serves doesn't like the Elsamites very much. In fact, you get the idea that the Cartel of Broken Hearts and the House of Jalf, the respective interests of these two people, one of which is now dead, likely put both of them up to this, and he was simply the one that came out on top. In a way, it's preferable for him to brag about the fact he killed this man. He just can't do it openly yet, even if he really wants to. He seems to be telling you for no uncertain terms that's exactly what he did, but that he doesn't really want people to know yet.
Jake stares at Ches while you gave your explanation. As you see in his eyes like he's very meticulous as a blacksmith. Every fine detail he makes sure to iron out. As he's like stare at you first, how you move, you talk, you blink, how you might move your eyebrows as you speak, seeing that some things aren't right when you first spoke. Him getting a hint how you speak normally when you initially gave the deal. This feeling that something is off for a moment. As he looks at you a bit more petty disputes. Fine. Keep me out of your house bullshit, though.
He shrugs. I didn't expect you to want to be involved with it. That said, as far as business dealings, I'm afraid you'll have to deal with them that way. If it helps, I'd be happy to handle those for you, but I would encourage you to have a stiff upper lip about it. At the end of the day, there are
I
certain
handle my
unpleasant people you have
prices.
to deal with.
I handle my work. I don't expect anyone else to do it. I am the faith. I am the leader. I guide them so they can have a proper end. You
Well, sure, you just
do the same. but
kind
in a
of
more
sound like
stupid way.
Volkar when you put it that way.
No, he does it with his passion. I do it out of necessity.
Oh, all right, well, if you genuinely believe what you're saying a different way than he does, it's no problem to me. The end result stays the same. I like your work, I like what you do, and I'm one of your biggest fans. So, with all that said, do we have an agreement? He holds his one hand out to shake. It's a good-natured gesture. He gives you a warmer smile, but there's a glint of self-satisfaction in his eyes, like he was expecting this result either way.
He looks at him for a moment. And what are my terms again?
Your terms are that I keep you out of this supposed nonsense about my house. Can't blame you. I know my people well, and even I don't like them. As for the rest, my offer to you that I believe you're accepting is that I will keep the other councillors off your back. You mention a problem to me, I'll take care of it the best way I can, and I'll keep you informed in a purely honest sense. No tomfoolery with you.
Don't forget the truth part.
Yeah, like I said, none of that stuff. No messing around. I won't lie to you, but you'll hear me lie to other people. If you can tolerate that, you're already following most of my end of the requesting of this deal.
He nods his head slightly, as he would walk up to you, as this man holds his hand out, his short, stout hand.
Ral happily takes it and shakes it, although you get the impression that you have far more control over this handshake than he does. He doesn't seem to mind. His goal here is cementing the deal. The deal's everything to this man. You get the idea that if you told him it was great, he would probably care about that more than actually knowing it was great. He's that vain.
You notice that he's very genuine of a man. Like, he doesn't put in more string than you do, as he's trying to match you, making sure it's like an equal thing. Like, he's trying to show this is an equality thing, not superiority.
If the Calfar appreciates it, he certainly doesn't show it, but you get the impression he'd be upset if you didn't do it, so that's overall certainly a good decision. As he finishes shaking Jerk's hand, he smiles, it broadens, and then he thinks for a moment. Oh, in that case, as the start of our arrangement, I'd like to give you some free advice.
He looks at you.
Of the two human men that sit on this council, one of them is far more inexperienced and much more dedicated to your faith. I'm sure you know who I speak of. He's not a Pelkanite, but he might be soon. The influence of his older councilmen is certainly going to drive him to that point, and, well, as you of all races must know well, the humans don't take a liking much to your kind. They prefer to enslave you, or take your things away from you. I don't suspect the Pelgonite's all that happy you hold your position, and he'll likely whisper in Ophelian's ear negative tidings about you. I've not gone on noticing the two of you developing a certain understanding, you and Ophelian, I mean. I would suggest you take advantage of that before the Pelgonite pulls it away from you, under the rug, so to speak.
Person he just looks at you. I personally don't care for such petty matters. Either way, he will see to who, one way or another. But having another one that can teach that the who is the real ruler here would be helpful for the buffoons.
He shrugs. I wouldn't let it be the Pelgonite, but that's just my advice. At the end of the day, if you suffer for it, I suffer more, what's the word you used? Indirectly. Still, I'd rather not clean up your own problems. Take it into dire consideration that Ophelian is the most important person for you to defend on this council. Not to let friending stick out of the note there. You need him. Because the Ferrum community needs a man who's not a Ferrum, who's not me, first of all, given my position. I more so oversee this community in an official sense, as far as Jowf is concerned. Ophelian, on the other hand, he's young, younger than all of us, even me now. That's something to consider. People relate to someone like that. The rest of us seem old by comparison. I should know.
He nods, understandingly, as it just seems to go quiet then, as if a craftsman getting ready to do his craft, as it just seems to just like try to start walking away.
Yeah,
Well,
and
that's really everything. I must say one last thing, Jerk, if you'll listen.
He stops for a moment and turns his head.
I really do appreciate this. You could have made a fuss, and you really could have, as you say, done the belligerent thing, the dishonest thing, of scheming about all this. But in this whole conversation, you haven't threatened me once. It's not something I'm used to, but I have to say it's growing on me. I rather like this idea, and I rather like you. Looking forward into the future, I'll go out of my way to make life easier for you. Consider it professional courtesy. Thank you very much.
He looks at that and just doesn't seem to say anything, just like nod his head.
Anyways, watch yourself. I won't stop you any further, and for future reference, if you're going to assign guards to a tent of a man who has identity problems, make sure they're informed of the situation. Either of those two could have came in on me, and I don't get the impression they work directly for you.
They were informed not to go in. They would not have.
Too much faith in your own kind, but that's a topic for another time. We'll leave it rest for now, I think. You have other people and things to speak of. Ophelian, I think, most importantly.
He seems to go quiet again as he turns his head.
And as you guys leave the tent, the last thing.
Actually, Raul would stay a while as he needs to think over some things.
All right, in that case, going with Jerk for a moment here. Jerk, as you leave the tent, right before we cut, you see a small crowd of people gathered, kind of outside, and it seems like it's like a semi, like they're moving through, but they're making a stop. You see these carts, and there's this satyr here. You can see his image in embers. He is Sibak, and he is playing the flute and dancing around, and he is an exceptionally talented flutist. And then there is this kind of people gathered around these two carts, where it's these group of ogres and satyrs and sort of farmers garb, and this crowd of people kind of around them as they're approaching. And these farmers are basically giving out free food to these people who approach, and you hear them speaking in Tahulian. Thank Velex for the great bounty. As you can also see there, among the ogres, among the farmers, is this woman, the image I just posted in Embers. You've seen her before near Volcar. She has purple skin, big pointed ears, this long, silky black hair, these sort of piercing orange yellow eyes, and she wears this sort of beautiful and kind of revealing, but not too revealing, kind of tastefully sexy, kind of rural dress, and this orange, the silver medallion with this sort of orange pumpkin on a black background set into it, and she is kind of writing things down on some sort of ledger as these as potatoes and pumpkins and meats are kind of given out to people. Nobody's given a massive amount. People are being given some food as they gather and nod, and these two big ogres kind of, oh, kind of bow, almost giving this blessing symbol as they kind of don't hit people hard enough to cause any damage, but kind of like hit people slightly hard with these shepherd canes as they get their free food. It clearly hurts a little bit in some cases. Yeah, as we cut from that, we cut over to Ophelion. Ophelion, with the celebration of Velex going on currently, what are you up to at the moment?
Celebration of Velex.
Yes.
I'm assuming he'd be with his father at the moment.
Is it oh yeah, this old wait, are you second gen Mercadius?
I'm pretty sure I'm second gen. Yeah, give me. Where's my? I have to reopen my character sheet again.
Yeah, and if you are second gen, this old man is not your father. He is technically a much older half brother, but the oldest member of your tribe. Your father, Mercadius, the founder of your tribe, is dead.
Yeah,
He
second gen
was,
human. Okay.
yeah, he was killed by anti-theist Chthons while humans were taking over Baal because he was trying to negotiate with them somewhat, and they killed him. And in Mercadius, kind of the tribe not knowing what to do, being devout Tehulians, they kind of had this scary moment, but they found support among some of the religious pharaohs, the Tehulian pharaohs. So they hate anti-theist pharaohs more than most humans, but they actually get along with the Tehulians as they are. You are also Tehulians. Religion is a big deal in your tribe. But yeah, anyway, but yeah, your father's dead, so yeah, he's technically your much older half brother, but he is he would be out amongst some of the people. As you can see, there's people gathering around, kind of feasting, playing games, and he's watching over this with a big smile on his old tired face as he leans upon his cane made from pine wood, this beautiful, very dark brown pine wood taken from the dark forest of fear as he wears his nice, it's not luxurious, but it's of very fine material and very clean and well taken care of, but old gray cloak as he points to the celebration as he says, look upon a great abundance, young man.
Everyone does seem to be enjoying themselves.
Yes, we were visited by a god today.
Oh, I believe I may have missed that.
You were not there at the gathering of the Lexians, nor was I, but I heard what had happened, and I know that it is true, for I have seen the fruits of this gift. You see, my boy, there was the ogre, Vulcar Jatoko. He spoke to the people and called upon his god in the form of a great wicker man he had constructed and burned. And they say the voice of the Lex himself cried out to the community and multiplied our food 5 times our current crops. And they say that the animals all gave birth to a litter, and each member of that litter immediately grew to adulthood, and all the women, sorry, I wouldn't say women, and all the females gave birth to new litters. He kind of nods sagely, and I have seen the great explosion of life that has happened in less than a day. Alex, a son of Tuhul and
An
Damar.
impressive and well-needed gesture.
More than that. More than that. Providence, my boy. Without this, we may not have made it through the next few cycles here in the depths of Tuhul, but death sent his son Velex, son of life and death. He smiles.
Ophelian's kind of looking down at his hands. He looks a little lost in thought.
And Damar is Tuhul's greatest ally, so there is some value in Velex being the child of Tuhul and Damar.
Do you have any doubts about this settlement that we're trying to make?
No,
What are your
not
biggest
anymore.
concerns?
I have concerns, but no more doubt. I trust you. I trust Volkar. I even trust Angus, a man with a limited mind, though he is.
And many
Interesting.
ants.
He nods. Though Pelgan does not appreciate that we do not worship him, we should still appreciate him. He is our creator, my grandfather, and Tuhul has no quarrel with him. His followers simply must understand this is Tuhul's realm. But there are those who worry me. The Kalfars, they are wily, not wicked, not evil, but selfish and conniving. The other ogre, the miner, there is something in him that I do not trust. But again, strong hands and strong minds are here. I would tell you, though, to be wary of the deals of the Kalfars.
If
It
we were
is
to,
not an sorry, go ahead.
if we're to build a proper civilization here of everyone living, we we will inevitably have to find common ground in every aspect.
Oh, yes,
I'm afraid that will be easier said than done for most.
absolutely. But I did not say do not take their deals. I said be wary, understand what you are agreeing to, and ensure you have the ability to enforce their end of the bargain. Kalfars will deal fairly with you if they believe that you are too smart to dupe. Do not convince them to underestimate you. This is often an attractive tactic, but it will not work with Kalfars. Seek that they overestimate you, or better yet, ensure that there is nothing for them to overestimate. Be innocent as a maggot, but as wise as a dragon. You understand?
I believe I will in time.
Mm.
He says as he kind of looks over the crowd and looks over all the events.
You see people eating and gathering, and he points to these creatures who are. You see, there's some Kalfars and humans here with them. And these creatures, they're in chains, and they're these sort of stout, kind of a little over 5 feet tall, kind of bulky turtle people. You know these to be Chthons, underworld dracoids. And he says, "And do good by the Chthons. They do not have many allies in this community. They are almost all, in fact, I believe, all slaves. Many of them slaves to our people. This is not a problem on its own. Chthons are crafty and wise, but they have dull minds. They are primitive, closer to animals than we are. But treat them well, for they are true, pure creatures of the underworld."
I try to treat everyone well until they give me a reason not to.
Mm. It would be wiser to treat everyone with respect and wariness. Optimism, when tempered with pragmatism, is a good thing, but unfettered, it can spell your doom. Although that is not something you should fear. He smiles, but Tahul does not want you to freely seek it either.
I believe I should go take a walk around, maybe partake in the festivities.
Yes, I shall do so myself as well.
As Ophelion stands up and kind of just dusts himself off from where he was sitting, looks around for an interesting spot to go wander to.
Yeah, as you wander about, you can see people of different species gathering, celebrating, having a good time. You can see kind of out amongst the people, you can see the beautiful, luxuriously dressed Lady Kelzika speaking to many of the humans here. This is more human territory where you're in, but people are kind of moving around. It's almost like a big informal parade. Like it's It's not an official parade, but people are just going all around town, talking to people. All these kind of spontaneous parties springing up. And you can see Lady Kelzika kind of speaking to human men and human women and other species here as well. And she's guarded by ogres and whatnot. Yeah. So you can also see just various townsfolk, blacksmith, farmers, these large people who look like gargoyles. You know them to be Aurons. They're very holy creatures in the hierarchy of Tuhul. They are kind of closer to spirits than people in many ways.
Ophelian's gonna kind of wander towards Kalzika.
Yeah, as she is speaking in Pelganese, as she says, spread the word, for there is more celebration to be had in the future. For myself, ordained by the holy angels, shall become consort to the great druid of the harvest, as she's kind of spreading this information to people here. There's kind of these, besides the ogres guarding her, these sort of Kalfars lightly playing like fiddles and flutes. Not particularly loud, but it's kind of playing them in the background.
So it's just a little gathering.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
As she seems to be, she is saying that she is becoming the consort of Volkar Jatako. Yeah, you're wandering up towards her.
Ophelian's kind of going to stop and take another double check around. He's going to kind of look around for Jerk or what's it? Argus.
Angus. Angus, you can see he is here. Jerk is not currently here, but you can see Angus is kind of gathering up some human men and kind of speaking to them. He's speaking relatively loudly. You can hear he's basically talking about getting to work on like various construction, building the animal pens and the homes and whatnot, the barracks.
That sounds like something that interests Ophelian a little bit more. He's gonna walk over to him.
He looks over to you as you walk up, and he holds his hand up to these men, these big burly human men, as he turns over to you. Ophelian, he nods.
Well, you seem busy.
We have great abundance. This is a time to put our nose to the grindstone, to take what we have and push for more.
I like your thinking. Anything you could use some help with?
You have masons, men capable of building the foundations of a city.
That would be the question. Does Ophelian know if he does or not?
I mean, you've got Tribe Mercadius. Yeah, they definitely got masons and craftsmen and blacksmith. They're, Tuhul is the divinity of stone. So.
You're asking the right man. Of course I do. What do you have planned exactly? And he kind of starts looking over like some of the paperwork and stuff that he's got laid out.
Oh, he doesn't have any paperwork out
Oh.
right now. He's just out talking to people. He says, I'm
I thought you
going to
said there was
build.
a table.
No, no, no. He's just. It's like men. It's like a work crew that he
Oh,
was
okay.
speaking to. And he says, we are going to be building residences, barracks, a place for humans, animal pens, a place to drink, to gather, Temple of Pelgan. Temple and the place for drinking will likely be built into the barracks.
I believe I could assist with getting the housing underway.
Mm, he nods. Pelgan's ways shall be upheld amongst his people here. I'm sure you can agree with me that humanity will have its proper place ruling this growing town.
Ophiolin kind of looks over the empty area, says, I believe there's a place for everyone here. I'm not much to judge, but I do hope that we do have a bit more of say given our numbers as he kind of looks over and starts counting out humans versus everything else.
The humans are certainly in the minority.
Though I would not. He kind of looks at Angus and is like, I wouldn't push so much though, given that we aren't exactly the most numerous here.
Prudence is a virtue, but remember who your people are, Ophelian. And
I
who
am well
your
aware of
family
who my people are, though we are not the only people here.
I'm aware, and as you said, everyone has their place. And humanity's place can only be at the top.
I will see if I can get some masons to assist you in building.
Good. There are going to be ceremonies had calling upon the great Ashas, the spirits of civilization, that they may animate us, that we may be like the ants and like the griffins.
And at this, Ophiolin just kind of nods and kind of bows out as he goes to look for whoever he probably be able to put in charge of gathering some masons up.
Yeah, and we are going to come back to you, but I'm going to be right back. Back.
Welcome back.
As you go and you get that set up, Jerk, I recall you were looking for Ophelion. If you're talking, you're muted, Jerk.
I said, yeah.
All right, then you would be approaching him, and you can see him kind of speaking to some people, getting, do you speak Pelganese?
No.
All right, yeah, so you wouldn't understand it anyway, but you see him talking to people as you approach. You can announce your presence or do whatever you will.
No. You would just like quietly just like approach. Doesn't really just say anything, just approaches.
I'm assuming would Ophelia notice, or is he a bit too busy?
You would notice.
Okay. Ophelian kind of wraps up. He's talking to these guys. They're all kind of nodding along. He's kind of giving a little bit of instruction from what you can tell, and then they all kind of disperse. And he looks at Ophelian looks to you, Jerk. Ah, Jerk, just the man I was hoping to see.
He nods at that. Shame here.
I'm assuming you have spoken to the now younger Raul Zardi.
Yes.
Well, how did it go?
What I expected.
Did you get any information out of him as to the happenstance of the death in that crypt?
I did.
Ophelia just kind of
like,
blankly
the
stares
cold,
at you.
Yeah, he's like giving like the one hand like response, like the cold shoulder, quote unquote, as he's looking at you a bit like unimpressed, as if he's like reminded of something. He
Well, I
was involved, yes.
was afraid of that. I don't know how well this colony of ours will really go if we start murdering each other right off the bat.
Well, if we work together, we could make sure it doesn't happen.
I do hope so. Though, and he kind of looks over to where Angus was. I feel tensions are rising by the day.
He like looks at you. Why are they?
This is a melting pot, so to speak, of many cultures, many different ways of doing things. And I'm afraid at some point, somewhere, it's going to boil over.
And if it does,
I only hope that we can clean up the mess and keep going.
there isn't really much to worry about. We can properly handle it. After all, we all need each other.
I know. It just worries me the thought of a colony constantly at each other's throats.
It looks at you nodding for your concern. Don't worry. Death rules here, and he looks at a bit. You can like notice in his face is just like reluctance, as if he's like even giving the thought. I rule here. I'm the messenger of death. Its de facto voice. I do not wish for it to be such, but it is. And I know for certain that we will work through it. We just need to respect our boundaries. A code of conduct, you could say.
Well, here's to hoping that a reasonable council of members of each respective group can reasonably come up with a code of conduct as such.
You know, it can be done. We just need some patience, you could say.
Yes, patience. He kind of looks over the crowd and we do have more coming in by the day.
You know, the crowd is growing. But we could handle it.
Yes, I've put some men to work assisting Angus with the beginnings of some housing districts. Soon there will be buildings, there will be walls. I just hope the walls don't end up coming in between everyone.
They won't, as long as proper rules are held.
How goes everything on your end?
Other than an investigation, well, I got an answer. Not too happy with it, but you work with what you have.
An answer's an answer.
And on your end,
Still waiting for more of my people in my group to arrive. I'm sure it'll be any day now. I am worried about some of our older members, though.
and watch that. Are they going to do something?
I'm worried. I'm worried about losing help and wisdom and guidance in this coming endeavor. I know I've been entrusted with many responsibilities, but I am worried that I might not be able to live up to them all.
That is alright. You do nicely. Believe in yourself.
Thank you. I do hope that we remain very close and helpful allies to each other.
He nods. We can. We will. We just need to make sure we understand each other.
I believe we do. Now, how are you enjoying these? How do you plan on enjoying these festivities?
With work.
As diligent as ever.
What about you?
I believe it's time I start organizing some buildings of my own. I have men coming in by the day. Start gathering supplies.
That is fair. And
Tents will only last us so long.
and what of
You're
the
saying?
faith?
Of course. One of the staples of this community. We will build a house of worship. I think somewhere in the middle where everyone can be close.
Well, that is good. Very good. Do tell, though. Which side do you lean more on? On death? On life?
I, of course, am a follower of Tuhul. I believe in the teachings, though I do worry about the next generations and our people. Turmoil is never pleasant, nor does it inspire growth.
Well, that is true. All I'm asking, since I do need someone of faith that isn't my race and in my ranks. As a cleric, the word must be spread. As a priest, I must make sure whose name is known. But sadly, I can't really reach those that are of the humans
Well,
with you.
your word will always be welcome in my house.
He nods, which is all I'm asking if you wish to work together.
I believe I do. We share a similarity that stretches beyond our separation in race.
Hmm. He nods, as if he is finding something very not peculiar, but like something like nice happened. It's not this, but like something similar. He's like nodding for a second. I see. And could you tell me, what are the Pelgranites in your ranks? Are they saying that the who should be disregarded?
No, well, it's difficult with them to read in between the lines. I respect everyone having their own faiths, though I don't agree with how they like to, say, take charge with theirs.
Hmm. He nods. Well, I'm guessing, at least I think it'll make it easier for them to understand if you work with me. You will follow the ways of the who, but be leading. That will quench their worries for a while. Let them relax that a human is in charge.
I agree.
Hmm.
Well, do you have any plans for your work at the moment?
Currently working on a weapon for each council member. A bit of a gift. For you, what weapon do you use?
Ah, that. And he kind of pulls out his. It's a nice looking weapon. It was decently crafted, but it's definitely seen some use and seen some wear. But it's a interesting one-handed battle axe. Looks a little heavy on the end, but it's still somewhere in between a two-handed and one-handed weapon. Kind of a versatile axe.
Hmm. He's looking at that for a second, as if he's like trying to memorize the shape, the general length, and thickness. You won't mind if it's iron, would you?
Of course not. Good
Won-
metal is still good metal.
Wonderful, wonderful. As he's like nodding along for a second. Now, enough of what I usually talk about. What do you wish to discuss? Anything that comes to mind?
Not at the moment, though there has been a lot on my mind with the recent events. Anything of interest or note that you would like to speak about with the Ralph situation?
That was the name of the guy that died, right?
No, Deba. Ralph's already the one who murdered.
Oh, the
I'm
murderer,
assuming you
not the
had.
murdee.
Yes, He specifically. Ophion's kind of specifically asking about the why the long face, so to speak.
Yeah, he's looking at that. Well, Calvage, real tricky to talk to. Even a simple conversation is a pain.
I understand that, but did you get a reason out of him as to the makeup? Uh, was it? Or did he actually just drop 20 years of age?
Oh, he was wearing makeup.
As I figured. Did he elaborate as to why? Or is it just a deception of his own that he enjoys?
Deception of sorts. He wanted to seem non-threatening, which made it even more weird.
Hmm. A non threatening Kalfari is a rare thing to come by.
Extremely. Which makes it all the while more suspicious, but not as bad as I thought.
Hmm.
You might enjoy it, might not. I would recommend talking to you in person at some point as well.
I was hoping on it. Though I think there's bigger things to do today. Day of celebration.
Mm.
I think I should be off.
You know,
It was good to talk to you again, especially after the recent events.
he nods again. I hope it's all the good for you. May death guide you.
And to you as well. And Freeland gives kind of a bow as he paces away back towards his tent.
He gives like a bow back as well. As he has the slow imperfection. He's really like he's like waddling like a penguin. Like he's extremely slow with his walking speed. As he's just like you like by the time you get to your 10, like you see you got like another like 10 feet distance. Like this man is not in a hurry.
he if you're trying to fucking just walk with him, I'm glad I didn't, because I was thinking of asking walk with me. I'm glad I didn't say that.
Oh, trust me, it would have been a very nice description. No, you just see him like by the time like you make like long distance, man is like barely like not even like out of sight yet. Like the way he's walking, it might take like him a few hours to get back at this point.
Well, Ophelian's just gonna probably go in his tent, maybe enjoy a bit of food, bit of drink, and
Come
Probably-
back, see he's still waddling.
go back out. He walks back up to Jerk. Hey, do you have an extra whetstone I could borrow?
I'm trying to infatuate that because he has a run speed of 3. This man is slow.
What, 3 feet?
No, like there's not really like a measurement here to be exact. Like there's like a 1 through how much like speed, but like he
I
has a run
posted
maximum.
something, I pinned it
Or is
on how speed works.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing that. Okay.
let's see. Was that an location? Non-location.
It was in general just after the
Oh, I didn't
King
pin it,
out
I
today.
guess.
Yeah, there's other.
yeah, no.
Run speed is still no. That's just for how it's calculated. We're saying like, is it like meters per second, feet per round?
Here we
How
go.
many steps you take in 6 seconds?
Yeah, we're talking about that because this will show how utterly slow this man is walking. Like you could say a toddler crawling is faster than him.
10 speed.
So yeah, you move at like less
Is that
than
how-
like if you were to run as fast as you can, it would be like a mile per hour at most.
Not even a mile. That is 3. Oh my god, I can barely run a mile and a half in an hour. God damn.
You have really
Yeah.
high vigor though, so you can do it for a long time.
Oh, trust me, I'm a marathon walker, not a runner, a walker.
So I have an 18. So I have a
You
9.
can
I have a 9
walk
in both.
circles around me while I make a few
There's
steps.
also what you can do with strength plus athletics.
Yeah, I think so. Still, even with that, I'm still extremely slow.
Strength 12, athletics 5.
So if you were to push yourself beyond your if you wanted to push yourself beyond your max, you could try.
Okay.
Nah, this man doesn't have a reason to go above and
Good.
beyond. Just
Good.
walk
Yeah.
away.
No. No.
So yeah, for a bit of like a full then I guess then like long as description as you're like walking away as you wish for death to be with you, you hear like a small like sermon being spoken to in Julian as he seems like walk away holding his medallion like giving like a bit of a sermon around trying to giving like a blessing. You hear that as you like walk away in the distance like his voice is still audible. A minute passes by, it's still audible. 2, 3, 5, 10, it's getting a bit less audible. You look outside, this man
I'm just sitting in.
got like a few
Just sitting in
hundred
my
yards
tent
away.
waiting.
Yeah. You are hearing a full on like sermon talking about the legends of Tuhul, the great blessings of blacksmithship. Like this man is telling a tale as he's walking. And you're wondering
Ophelian's just
is walking
looking out of
towards
his. Ophelian just looking out of his tent, like, well, if we ever have to run away from something, I guess I know who I have to pick up.
Yeah, the slow meatball as after a good few long, I guess like good few minutes for you, like I'd say like a 10, 20 minutes, finally he gets like a bit out of earshot as you see him he's still waddling. Probably like amassed like a crowd of like a few fair and more like some people believing in the way of the Hua as he's like giving a proper sermon. Oh, the way of death, to whose blood desire and the gifts of strength, like giving a great hearty speech about it as he's fucking just like
He's-
walking and talking.
He's gotten so used to being so slow that he just starts giving sermons, and everyone just kind of follows him as he waddles from place
Pretty
to
much.
I mean, it's mainly Ferrum's following him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is he just like doing that? All of them, of course, around his speed or a bit faster, so you know we can hold our proper walk. And species trying to approach him like, hey, I can walk with them. Motherfucker, be like, all right, walk one step, wait a few seconds, second step, wait a few seconds, third step.
He's that NPC in video games that you have to follow.
Yeah. You think it's between your run and move speed? No, bro, that's below your move speed. You just gotta wait there a few seconds for him to catch up.
Ah,
It's really bad. Don't worry about it. Definitely survivable.
well, what question? What time of day is it?
Well, you're in the underworld,
Fair.
and right now the ruins aren't making any noise, so it is daytime.
Ah, so the ruins. That's our telltale sign of night. Is the ruins act up? Well,
Hmm.
Yeah. I
Ophelian.
kind of know what time it is.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Ophelian's going to kind of sit down to eat a bit and kind of wait. Has he gotten any, I guess, letters or notes or anything about when his buddies are going to arrive?
No, not yet, but we are gonna take a bit of a break as I gotta use the restroom. Probably 15 to 30 minutes. Maybe
Are we doing
more like
a
20.
short session today, or are we trying to go till 10 with just the two of us?
Oh fucking
We're gonna-
god!
we're gonna try to
I haven't
keep going.
slept for fucking so
We're gonna
long.
we're gonna try to keep going after I get back. Maybe not all the way to 10, but we're gonna try to keep going.
I can most likely do one more scene with me, then I'm gonna have to fucking go out.
But yeah, I gotta go use the restroom. But yeah, in the future, sessions are gonna be 4 to 10. Like
I
we
do
talked
know,
about.
and we did say that it's not gonna be a full session, so I kind of expected it.
Well, I didn't say that, but I am gonna be back. I gotta use the restroom, and then we're gonna keep rolling for a bit.
All right.
Oh, but then you said it's not gonna be a full session, and then I misread somewhere.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 5:30 until everybody arrives. Oh yeah, we just spoke about it. Yeah, they didn't say it. Yeah, fair.
He left. All right. May as well end the
Yeah.
session there then.
Yeah, he took off about 10 minutes ago. I mean, didn't say a thing. I just heard the Discord thing, so I don't know.
All right. Well, yeah. Good session, I guess. You have a good night, and I'll talk to you later.
Oh, he put. I just realized. I just saw he put a text in this chat. 6 a.m. running on fumes.
Yeah. All right.
Fair. Well, good session.
All right. Yeah. All right. Talk to you later, man. That's the end of the stream. Sorry about the short session, folks. Bye bye.